sharing with you in this video how to step into the unknown to help you create your dreams and goals. And so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video is just to remember that nothing is guaranteed. So at the end of the day, there's nothing in life that's promised. You're not promised tomorrow. You're not promised your goals. You're not promised really anything in life at all. And when we attempt to grasp onto something, whether it's a goal or something again that you own, or a relationship, or again just anything even that you do, your identity, when you try to cling on to something and you think that everything is just a given, like it just is 100% a given, what begins to happen is you sort of lose this humbleness that allows you to be open to that possibility that something can change from the current position that you're in. Most people think that the position that they're in is just safe and it has to be like that, and whatever safe is whatever you have to keep doing. And I'm not saying that you have to go into your danger zone or go into a state of overly being stressed, but if you're too comfortable, I think that what that means is that again you're in a state of too much knowing. I'd say there's just too much knowing. I'm not saying that this is you, but if a person is just too comfortable, they're not willing to go into just a little bit of discomfort in their life, just a little bit of stepping into the unknown of not necessarily knowing all the answers or feeling that everything is promised, then what begins to happen is that again there's a certain level of arrogance where it's like you feel that you already know it all. You've already figured it out. You already know the answers. And of course, like if you've put in maybe hundreds of hours into something, thousands of hours, you've been doing it for years, of course it's like to a certain degree that level of arrogance is, justified. It's justified to a certain degree, absolutely. But from another perspective though, no matter how far you are on the path to mastery in terms of, you doing something that you love or putting in lots of hours and doing it on a consistent basis, no matter what that might be, there has to be a certain level of you don't know. Like you just don't know. And know that it's not guaranteed 100% that anything in life is promised. So when you think about it like this, it's like, why would we do something that we don't like? Why would we stay in a job that maybe we don't love because we feel like it's the safe and guaranteed option that everything goes well? Because nothing is guaranteed. Like even just to put it into a more practical example, I'm not saying to not work a regular job. If you want to work a regular job, that's totally fine. But I'm just saying that when you compare a regular job to a business, people say that a regular job, and I'm not advocating either or. If you want to run a business and be on your own, that's fine. If you want to work a job and be on your own in that way, that's totally fine as well. But whichever path you take, I want you to remember from that perspective, from the perspective of making money in business, ultimately speaking, there's no guaranteed path. You know what I mean? So it's like when a crisis happens in the economy, you could just as easily lose your job in a regular job, just working a 9 to 5, and compared to being self-employed. In fact, during many crises, when there was lots of things going on in the world from an economic level, all the people that had regular jobs that thought it was just guaranteed, they were the ones that were actually having issues with employment, where the people that were self-employed mostly were doing a lot better. And then so vice versa, people think that one or the other is guaranteed success. And it's like, again, at the end of the day, we have to remember one thing, that nothing is guaranteed, that there's always going to be problems and risks and challenges to quite literally any path that you take. And I think that the faster that we can accept this is the faster that we can go towards what we actually want, instead of just doing things that we feel is safe. And I'm not saying that safety is bad, but too much safety and not being willing to go a little bit into that sort of middle zone is where you're going to face, again, problems and challenges reoccurring in your life on a consistent basis. And then so the second thing that I want to share with you in this video is to remember that really the unknown is the realm of possibility. So it's like that's the space where you're going to find the solution to your problems. Only in the unknown are you going to be able to think greater than the problems and the challenges in your life. Like that's going to be the pretty much the only way that you're actually able to, again, be a solution-oriented person or find the solutions to the mistakes that you're facing or whatever the case may be. But then when you're sort of just attaching to thinking that you know all the answers and that you know it all already and that you have all the answers within you and you don't need any help from anybody else. And I'm not saying that you don't have the answers within you technically, but maybe it'll come in the form of another person. And so that seems like an abstract, random example, but that's just one practical example where it's just like, if you think you know everything, how are you going to be open to finding that person to give you that advice, or finding that resource, or finding that situation that you need in order to get to the next level of whatever it is that you want to create? You of course have to know your intention and where you're going, but you also, just as much as you know your intention, you also have to have the ability to surrender completely the intention and then drop into it, create it in your life. And actually, how do you create it? You just become it through action. It's like, here's a powerful way to get many answers in your life, is to become the answer in of itself through action. If you want to find the answer to something, again, know your intention and then you'll know what to do. You're literally going to know what to do. I think that we don't give enough credit to our deeper intelligence, and a lot of times we don't trust our deeper intelligence to simply know exactly what we have to do in order to be able to create whatever it is that we want to create. And then so when we don't trust in that, what we're doing is we're essentially giving away all our power to the external world and saying that we no longer have a say. It's all up to the external. It's all up to your family. It's all up to your friends. It's all up to the stuff that you read online, the books and the videos and the courses. It's like it's all up to them now. You've just given all your power away. With all your independent thinking power, you've given away. And so really this process of stepping into the unknown, counterintuitively what it does is you're getting back your spiritual sovereignty. You're getting back your free will. You remember that there's no such thing as not having a choice. Everything is a choice, so where you place your attention, where you decide to go in your life is a choice. You don't have to go through any path that you don't want to take. You're totally free to go whichever path. Now, one path might feel, so to speak, like a more pure path where you have less resistance. Another one might have more resistance, but there's no wrong choices, ultimately speaking. But the question is, are you going to be humble enough to trust in the unknown? Are you going to believe that you know everything and block yourself from that realm of possibility where you can find the solution and then find the answers and then know exactly what to do, and you'll know that you're doing it simply by trusting yourself? Is that something that you really want to block, or do you always want to be connected to that? And then so lastly, the final thing that I want to share with you in this video is just to understand that, again, if you think you know everything, you are limiting yourself. If you think you know everything and that you've got the answers figured out, you're literally going to be walking through life with sort of these blinders on, where you're blocking every single opportunity in your life. Like, again, imagine if you're thinking from the space of limitation and you don't even know how, you don't even have a clear intention on what you want. You don't even know what your intention is. From that space, if you don't even know what your intention is and you don't know where you're going and you don't have clarity on the direction that you want to take in your life, what ultimately begins to happen is that, again, you're walking through life with essentially these glasses on, and these sunglasses are completely blocking anything that could possibly be good for you in terms of the things that you actually want. And you're doing it to yourself is the worst part. And the worst part about it as well is that from this space, when you're thinking that you know everything and you're not you don't have that humbleness to step into the unknown, the opportunities are all there. It's not that they're not there. It's not that the opportunities are not there. It's just that you're not aware of them. So similarly, how many yellow cars have you seen yesterday? Probably none. But if I tell you today to go out and pay attention to as many yellow cars as you can, you're going to see maybe 10, 12, 13, 20, 30, however many yellow cars. And it's like, is it that there's more yellow cars in the world now that you're paying attention to them? No. It's like they've always been there. The possibility was always there. It always existed, but you weren't just paying attention to it and you were not conscious of it. Your consciousness was sort of paying attention to something else based upon your subconscious beliefs and your intentions. And so this video, what I'm doing here is bringing more consciousness to that process, because that's happening whether you realize it or not. These filters are always being projected no matter what. The question is, are you going to be able to consciously be noticing what kind of filters you have, and then you can have actually more power to change them in the way that you prefer, so that, again, you're not just creating unconsciously. Like, you're able to create from a space of more clarity, of more freedom, from more spiritual sovereignty. And then what that actually does for you is you don't think that you know everything, and then once again, you don't limit yourself anymore. But again, on the contrary, if you think that you know it all, you are going to be limiting yourself and walking sort of with these blinders on that's not allowing you to see the full picture of whatever you need to do to get whatever you want. You're not going to see those opportunities, you're not going to see the possibility, and you're just going to only become a victim ultimately and see all the problems and the challenges and usually identify with those problems and challenges. And then again, that feels very limiting.